Welcome to Good News and Interviews with Forrest Tree Lee. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time I'd like to thank my sponsors. They are the Old Barn Restaurant in Goshen, Alabama. Chimney Sauces, go to www.chimneysauce.com. Troy Paint Body, located on South Brundage Street. Golden Boy, they're located on the Henderson Highway. Thank you, Golden Boy. Premier Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram of Troy. I want to thank Jason Gregory for his support. Pizza Palace, Miss Pretty Patel in downtown Brundage. State Farm Insurance, Mr. Bryant Smith. He's located on South Brundage Street here in Troy, Alabama. The Piggly Wiggly, Steve and Jennifer Garrett. They have two locations, one in North 3 Knott Street and one on the bypass here in Troy, Alabama. There's a picture of Steve. The Brundage Country Club, they're open every day of the week with the exception of Monday. Call 735-3680. The Kennedy, they are an event and lodging center in Brundage, Alabama. Great place for family reunion, all kind of stuff. The Kennedy. Abby Lee Photography. You can contact Abby Lee at www.abbyleephotography.com. I want to thank Russell, Melanie, and Gibson Baker for their support. Also, the Pike County Co-op. They have two locations, one in Troy, Alabama, and one in Goshen. Bird Drug Company and the Daly Girls thank Mr. Joe Watson for their support. Also, the Douglas Brothers, owned by Shear Qualls, located in downtown Troy. They've been open for over 150 years. Fraley Frames, Dan Fraley has two locations, one in Enterprise and one in downtown Troy on North 3 Knott Street. Campbell's Produce, located on US 231 South on the left just past Sisters. The Chicken Shack of Luverne, open since 1968. Thank you to the Money Boys. Flat Tops and Fiddles, Mr. Don and Jan Brown, located in downtown Troy, just on the square. Also, Lenny Trawick, he gives guitar lessons there at Fraley Frames. Want to thank Flowers Realty. You can call them at 482-0393 for all your real estate needs. The Home Gallery, located on Love Street, call 670-0047. Also, I'd like to thank Brian McDaniels, the owner of Jackson Hardware. They've been in business since 1900, located in downtown Brundage. Kelly Tires, Rex and Nell Grant, located on Love Street. Whaley Pecan, since 1937. Would also like to thank Meeks Termite and Pest Control. Call 566-1222 for all your termite and pest control needs. Troy Bank and Trust, the only bank you'll ever need. Ponstalker 2. Raymond's Barber and Style Shop, located on South Brundage Street here in Troy. Also, Signature Hair Designs, Miss Shirley and the Girls, 566-7311. Southern Grill and Patio, located in the old Troy Messenger building here on South Brundage Street. See the Hartleys for all your flooring needs. Also, they have grills and things of that nature. Sticky Frogs, Miss Jennifer at 434-0303. That's in the Southland Village Shopping Center. Wallace Pump and Supply, the Wallace Brothers, located on US 231 South. And there's my information, 268-0738. We're on Monday nights from 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night, and the replays are on Wednesdays between 9 and 10 p.m. Thank you to all the sponsors, and we'll see you later on Good News and Interviews with Forrest Tree Lee. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are in Brantley, Alabama. This is Hunter Royal, and we're at the Old Gin Creek Country Store in Brantley, Alabama. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Forrest.
Well, how long have you been open?
We've been
Hunter?
open since 2015. Memorial Day 2015, we opened up. We opened the restaurant up about 3 years ago.
Okay. And what all are some of your features of your store? Of course, you're located on 331 South,
330
just off the square in Brantley.
That's right,
Heading
331
south toward Opp.
right across from the dollar store. Features and food, Philly cheesesteak. We have a Logger's Bowl for breakfast. It'll keep you cutting wood all weekend. We have a Conecuh River Sasquatch burger, Brantley Big Dogs. We have daily specials. We sell salsa, jellies, jams, Old Gin Creek apparel, as you see behind us. A lot of cool niche things, and we sell Costa gear, feed, seed, fertilize when hunting season rolls around.
And what are a couple of your primary, you have a Sasquatch burger. Can you tell us a little bit how that got its name?
Well, it's got Sasquatch meat on it.
You what?
Nah, in commemoration of the Conecuh River Sasquatch that was down on the river in the late 1970s and early 1980s, we invented the Sasquatch burger. There was sightings of footprints, there were scratches, there was people hearing screams at night, and the law got to looking for it, and it just vanished.
Okay.
I can't tell you the man who was doing it because he swore me to secrecy, but I have his feet here at the store if you would like to see them.
Okay. Now, what are your store hours, Hunter?
Store hours are from 5:30 in the morning to 6, Monday through Saturday.
Monday through Saturday. And 5:30 till what time do you serve breakfast?
Well, we serve breakfast, generally stop breakfast around 9 when we run out, then we start on lunch 9 to 2.
9 to 2. Okay. And of course, I see all kind of apparel. The store is highly decorated. And where did you get the name Old Gin Creek Country Store?
Well, the old gin was right here behind us, and the river's right down here below us. So my wife,
that is the Conecuh River.
That is the Conecuh River.
And that feeds into Lake Ghent.
That's correct.
Okay.
My wife, we were sitting around, and Old Gin River just didn't sound as good as Old Gin Creek, so we named it Old Gin Creek.
Okay.
Between the creek and the river.
Now, where's your hometown originally?
Grady.
Grady, Alabama. And who are your parents?
Butch and Linda Royal.
Butch and Linda. You've got siblings?
I do. I have 3 brothers.
Okay. What about your wife? Is in her maiden name?
She was a McGinney. Her name is Amanda Royal. She works in Troy, actually.
Okay.
She's the administrator at the Wound Care and Hyperbaric Chamber Center in Troy.
Okay. Now, how did y'all meet?
We worked at Brittany's in Troy. I grew
Yeah.
up around Troy and played Little League ball in Troy, and we went to college at Troy, and we worked together at the restaurant at Brittany's back in the day.
And that's right there where,
The Mexican restaurant, I think, now.
yeah, right there at George Wallace and US 231.
Worked for Mr. D and Miss Betty.
That's right. Now, have y'all got children?
We've got one little girl. She's 7.
Okay. Well, we're in Brantley, Alabama, and we're going to show you some features of the store here in a few minutes, and we'll be back after these messages. Ladies and gentlemen, this is homemade sea salt caramel pork skins. Old Gin Creek Country Store, Brantley, Alabama, established 2015. Great. I could eat this whole bag in about 10 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in Brantley, Alabama at the Old Gin Creek Country Store. This is a Sasquatch burger, and never had one. And let's see if I can get this squeezed down a bit. Fantastic. This is some great food here in Brantley, Alabama. The Sasquatch burger. I highly recommend it. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Good News and Interviews with Forrest Lee. We're at the home of Lynn Johnson, a native of Dozier, Alabama, or grew up around between Brantley and Dozier.
Yep.
Thank you, Lynn, for having us.
I'm glad you're down here.
I'll give you just a quick, brief history of how I knew Mr. Johnson or Lynn. When I was in the 8th grade, I played at Goshen. And Dwight Falk was the head coach at that time. That was, I think, his last game that he coached. I was the starting right guard, about 5'7", 140 pounds, and we played Dozier in a jamboree. Well, across from me, I don't know what number you wore then, but you were a junior, about to start your senior year.
Yeah.
You were probably, what, 6'3", 240, 260.
Yeah.
And my job was to block him. Didn't work. I think we ran that way each time. I was the right guard, and all I could do, go for the ankles. But anyway, and then about, I guess within the past year, I was at Mossy Grove Restaurant in Troy, Alabama, and we got to talking with somebody, and they said, well, Lynn Johnson's on the front porch. I said, from Dozier? So I went out there and found you.
Yeah, I remember
And then
that.
your family was called in to eat, and there was probably 10, 12, 14 of you, and I sat and talked with Lynn Johnson then. And it has just worked out that I found you. And about 2 or 3 months ago, I was in an antique store, Hillside Antiques, right past Sisters, and I looked, and lo and behold, there's an Auburn football program. And I looked at it, I said, I think that's Lynn Johnson. And it was the cover of all the guys, that's your senior year, and I bought it and mailed it to you and found
I
you.
appreciate that.
But
Sure
thank
do.
you for having us. And Lynn, if you will, tell us about who your parents were and your siblings.
I grew up right here about a half a mile from where we're sitting right now, which is 4.5 miles from Dozier and 4.5 miles from Brantley. I went to Dozier High School. My parents were Monroe and Elizabeth Johnson. I had an older brother, Jimmy, played at Dozier. Older brother, Alan, that played at Dozier. And then Alan went and tried out at Troy back in the 60s.
Okay.
And I was just all excited about that. I got to go watch Tim Bird back
I
in the
was,
60s.
yes.
And while he was trying out, but he decided not to, he didn't continue with it, but he finished at Troy. And then I got a younger sister that's 5 years younger than me. And she lives right here close by too. And so my dad was a logger.
Okay.
And so in the early 60s, the short wooding. You remember the short wooding?
I think I do.
We threw the wood up on the truck by hand. Well, I was the biggest of my 2 brothers. They were 5 years older than me and 6 years older than me. But they made me grab the big pieces because I
Okay.
was bigger. And I contribute that to why I got as big and strong, because I was throwing that wood up on the truck, by hand.
Okay.
And so anyway, logging, went to Dozier High School. My coach at Dozier High School was my cousin, my daddy's brother's son, Travis Johnson.
Travis Johnson.
Yeah, and he had a good career there, and he was a good coach, and he was a good motivator. And
And your daddy was Monroe.
my daddy was Monroe.
Now your mother's name, what was her first and maiden? What was her maiden name?
Elizabeth Raines.
Raines.
Raines, yeah. And my granddaddy had a store right here below our house, about a quarter of a mile from where we are now. And
Was that the Rains?
Rains Grocery.
Okay, Rains. So
Rains
she
Grocery.
grew up in Dozier too.
She went to Dozier.
Okay.
Daddy went to Brantley.
Okay.
And he grew up above, in the Mount Zion area between Brantley and Glenwood. in
Where
that area.
Mount Zion
Church.
Baptist Church
Yep,
is.
that's where, in that area.
Okay.
So,
So your family is well known for logging,
Yep.
and after you graduated from Auburn, were you in the logging
I
business?
came home, worked with my dad for a couple of years, and my two brothers. We were all in that logging business, and then my oldest brother ventured out on his own, and then my brother next to me, Alan, we partnered up,
Okay.
and we got Johnson Brothers Logging.
Okay.
And
Now, are y'all still doing that, Lynn?
no, I retired 2 years ago,
Okay.
and my brother died 2 years ago too, Alan. And Jimmy still got his logging operation, and I retired. I had a son-in-law that married my youngest daughter. He was from Troy,
Okay.
Jesse Taylor, and he started working with me about 12 years ago now, but he worked with me for 10 years in the logging operation, and so he took over when I retired.
So it's still in the family.
It's still in the
Still
business,
in the
yeah,
family.
Yeah, still going.
All right. Now you started and finished at Dozier. Was it Dozier High School or Dozier School? How did
Dozier
they?
High School is the way it was
Okay.
always, but it was first. We didn't have kindergarten. It was first through the 12th.
Well, a little bit. How many were in your high school graduating class?
We had a big crowd, 14.
14. 14. And y'all still get together. Some
Oh,
of
yeah.
you get together every Tuesday.
Yeah, every Tuesday. As a
At
matter of
the-
fact, that big group you saw at Mossy Grove was my class.
Okay.
The biggest of them. But there's 5 or 6 of us that live local.
Okay.
We get together every Tuesday at the Chicken Shack in Laverne.
All right.
And,
Well, since we're on the subject of family, now your sweetheart, who's your wife?
My wife, this is a good story.
Okay.
She's local too.
Okay.
She lived about a mile down the dirt road. The first time I saw her, I was riding in the back of my pickup. I was 5 years old. This was before we started the school. And she was standing out in the yard, and she had 2 pearl handle pistols, like a.
Do y'all still have them? Be nice if you can
No, she
find
don't still have them. She and I had a cowboy hat on.
them. Okay.
And I rode up by, I was sitting in the back of the pickup, and I looked up on that bank. She was on a high clay bank. I said, oh, she'd be fun to play with. You know, had them pearl handle guns. So the next, I mean, that was in the summer. And the next year at 6 years old, there she sat in the first grade.
There she was.
And
And what's her name?
Diane Kelso Johnson.
Kelso. So she was a Kelso.
Kelso, yeah.
Okay.
And,
And that's where it started.
that's where it started.
Yeah, I know what you need to give her for Christmas.
Yeah, the no pearl handle gun.
And and so y'all were high school sweethearts.
Yep.
And when did y'all actually get married?
We got married when I was a junior at Auburn.
Okay.
We were apart, we were together for those 12 years of school, and she went to LBW when I went to Auburn. So, I missed her so bad, you know, during those. And she did a secretarial science course.
Okay.
Came to Auburn my sophomore year and lived up there in an apartment. Of course, I was in the dorm, you know, the football dorm, Sewell Hall back then. And she stayed, and then we got married my summer of my junior year before I started my junior football season.
And they were okay with
Yeah,
players
we-
getting married?
We had
I just wondered, you know.
we had a married scholarship. I mean, they up, you know, couldn't live in a dorm anymore, so they gave me a little extra money to, you know, in a scholarship
Okay.
type thing for housing.
Okay.
And so we rented a house.
So she started working.
She came
She
up
was-
and started working
she
with the
started-
university, the purchasing department.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she worked with the purchasing department till I finished at Auburn.
And
then
y'all got married in
we
Dozier?
got married. Yes, we got married here in the Dozier area at the church where she attended, which was Cameron's Chapel.
Cameron's Chapel.
Yeah, it's over on 106, just off
Okay.
106.
Going toward Georgiana.
Yeah, just a
Okay.
little bit over there. We're close by too.
And that church is still,
It's still there.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, what church do y'all go to now?
We go to Sasser Church of Christ right across the street.
Sasser?
Yeah, Sasser Church of Christ.
Okay.
And all.
And now, y'all have how many children?
2 children.
Two children, two
Two
girls.
daughters, yeah.
Okay, what are their names?
Courtney and Lacey.
All right, who's the oldest?
Courtney.
Courtney and Lacey.
Yeah.
And how many grandchildren do you have?
4.
4.
Yeah. Each of them have 2.
Okay, each of them had 2. And you got, what are their names? The 2?
Well,
you
Courtney had first Luke and Zach, twin boys,
Okay,
and Luke and Zach Johnson, and then they're 19 now, and in college at Faulkner.
okay.
Lacey, my younger daughter, 2 years younger than Courtney, she had AJ Taylor, married Jesse, and Lindley. It's the only little girl I got.
Okay.
I tell her all the time she's my favorite granddaughter.
Now, are they still at Brantley? Where do they
Yeah.
go to school?
Yeah, they're in Brantley School.
And what grade are they in?
Okay, Lindley's 5th, I think, and AJ's 7th.
Okay. Are they got sports in their blood? a
Yep.
little bit? Okay.
And Lindley plays. She's a softball player.
Okay.
And AJ is a basketball. His best sport is basketball.
Okay. All right, now you graduated in 1973
3.
from Dozier.
Yep.
How and what was the process of your recruitment to Auburn University? How did that happen?
Well, the first SEC team to recruit me, Troy, of course, Troy was the first team, and I was wanting to go there. That's where that was my heart set, was to go to Troy. And Coach Johnson's, Travis, said, you can go to the SEC. So Georgia started recruiting me first as a junior.
And the head coach was Vince Dooley. Is that right?
Vince
Okay.
Dooley was the head coach over there. He was a great coach, a great
Okay.
man, and
Did you get to go visit Georgia?
several times.
Okay.
I mean, I was that close.
Okay.
This is a good story about why I went to Auburn.
Okay.
It's a combination, but it's a good one.
Okay.
Okay, so I go to Georgia, and I'm really almost going to Georgia. Alabama started recruiting me as a senior, and Mal Moore, and who had played at Dozier in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And his niece was in my room. I was the biggest Alabama fan, but I was leaning to Georgia. So Mal invites me up for a visit. Well, at the same time, Auburn jumps in and starts recruiting too. So I got 3 schools recruiting me really from the SEC. That's all. But so I go to Auburn for a weekend, and when they start to eat, it was unreal. You sat around a table, 6 people. You stood there as a blessing. All the food was already on the table, and we like pork chops, for example, and beans and stuff, And so they get through the blessing. One of the guys takes a bowl of pork chops and just turns it upside down on the table, and holds it up and says, "Chow boy," just screams out, "Chow." Well, I noticed there's a bunch of guys in a white little shirts sitting at the back there next to the kitchen.
Okay.
One of them comes running out and grabs that bowl of pork for the pork chops, takes it back in the kitchen, fills it up again, and comes back out there and starts to set it on the table. And it was Ken Burnich, an All-American linebacker.
Ken who now?
Ken Burnich.
Burnich.
Burnich in the
This is
city.
at Auburn.
This is
Okay.
at Auburn.
All right.
He takes his hand, turns up, don't even let him set the plate down. Says, "Bring us some more." So I knew.
So you're eating with them, and you're a senior in high school?
I'm a senior in high school, and I'm eating with them.
Okay.
On a recruiting trip,
Okay.
and that we got enough pork chops there to feed an army. So I'm sitting there amazed. I'm looking at everybody. Everybody's doing that. And the cowboys are just going and bringing food. And the tea pitchers are held up in there, and they come get another tea pitcher.
Good gracious.
And it was wild, and it was unreal. And of course, on Sundays, Coach Jordan told us, "You boys have more manners on Sunday now. Your parents might be here."
Okay.
But anyway, so I ate that way, And I said, man, it's gonna be a good place. I'm gonna be, like Mama's cooking here, I'm gonna get full.
Okay.
And so then I go to Alabama, and we go through a buffet style, you
Okay.
know, and that's what they did Georgia. But that's one kicker that sold me on Auburn. But the other one was, when I go into that interview, of course, Vince Dooley is, big man, we want you to come to Georgia. Suge Jordan, big man, we want you to come to Georgia. Barry Bryant, you might could play for me if you wasn't so fat.
Oh, really?
And that just broke my heart because I want to go play for him, you know.
Yeah.
And but I thought of that a lot, and I thought of how we ate at Auburn, and I just loved it up there. So that kind of
That was the kicker. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, during your career, so your wife worked still with the university. I mean, after 2 years, I guess you'd say. And so you go to Auburn. Now, at that time, could freshmen play?
they could.
They could at Auburn.
They could. You know, I think it was the second year after the Marshall
Right.
plane crash, and Marshall got to play freshmen. So then the NCAA allowed everybody to play in '72, I think.
Okay.
It may be '71 and '72. Then I came in '73, and of course we had a freshman team back then. You know, I set a goal to make the freshman team. You know, and I got to start. The first freshman game was against Florida on a Monday. We played Mondays, and
Were you offense or defense?
I was offensive guard.
Offensive guard.
The Saturday before that, up in Knoxville, one of our offensive guards got put out for the season with an arm injury, and so offensive line coach Pat Morris, came in our locker room before the Florida game that Monday, and said, "I'm gonna move one of you freshmen up to varsity because we lost Andy Steele was his name."
Andy Steele.
Yeah, and so we lost Andy Steele for the year. We moved one of your freshmen up, and he was a junior, Andy was. So after the game, Coach Morris come down and said, "You're moving up to varsity." So I was
After the Florida game.
after the Florida
So
game.
you played one
freshman
game.
and then I got moved up to the varsity. And the next game we played at Auburn was Ole Miss at home, and I got in for one play, just for Coach Morris could kind of break me in a little bit.
How was that one play? Do you
Well,
remember?
Yeah. So I got a story about that. It was an All-American from Ole Miss. His name was Gentle Ben Williams.
Gentle Ben
Yeah, he
Williams.
was All-American.
Okay.
That's who I was supposed to block.
Keyword was supposed to. Well, okay.
Supposed to
Okay.
block, yeah. So Roger Mitchell was a senior defensive back. I was just as nervous as I could be on the sideline. And Roger come up, you know, as a senior and a leader, and started saying, "Big man, calm down."
They called you Big Man.
Yeah,
Is that your
they called
nickname?
me Big Lynn, Big Man,
Big Lynn.
Bulldozer from Dozier.
Bulldozer. There
From
you go.
Dozier.
Yeah.
I had all kind of Big Daddy. I had all kind of names.
Okay.
But Roger said, "Big Lynn, settle down, buddy. You're gonna be all right." He said, "You're gonna be all right. They're gonna let you play a couple of plays. Who you got to block?" I said, "Gentle Ben." He said, "Oh no." So my nerves went right back up to nerves again.
Okay.
But no, I didn't block him a bit. I got in one play.
That's funny. So you played your freshman year.
Yeah, got to
And you
play.
lettered.
I lettered. I got to start 2 games that year.
What was your first starting?
Alabama,
Alabama.
of all things, #1 in the nation. Had to block Woodrow Lowe, great All-American.
Okay.
Never touched him either. He was quick as lightning. But I learned a lot more techniques and all, you know, as it went on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we started my freshman against Alabama, and then I started against Missouri in the Sun Bowl
Okay.
out in El Paso. That was a fun trip.
I've seen that bowl. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been to that stadium.
Yeah.
I've been to El Paso a couple of times.
Yeah, that was a fun place to go.
Now, did Auburn win that bowl
No,
game?
we lost to Missouri,
Okay.
34-17.
Okay.
And,
Now, so did you start as a sophomore, junior?
I started sophomore, junior.
Okay.
Our sophomore year, we finished 10-2 and 6 in the nation. And we beat Texas in the Gator Bowl that
Okay.
year. That was a good year.
And your junior year?
My junior year was Coach Suge Jordan's last year,
Okay.
and we had a down year for some reason. I don't know if we all tried too hard trying to send him out a winner. But we didn't get a bowl game. I got my knee hurt against Mississippi State in the 9th game of the season,
Okay.
and that was in '75.
Well, were you 100% your senior year? Did you get to play, or you had to?
I did. I wasn't 100% in '76. I had to take a redshirt senior year.
Okay.
Came back in '77 under Coach Barfield, his
Okay.
second year, Coach Doug
Okay.
Barfield.
Well, one thing I want to mention about Suge Jordan, and I help Mike Amos from time to time on his show in the morning.
Yeah.
Of course, I have my own show on Monday nights,
Right.
7, 8 o'clock, and this is where you'll see this episode.
Yeah.
But Coach Jordan served in World War II. He fought in the European theater. He was in 4 major battles. He was there at Normandy,
He was.
and he fought in Africa as well.
Yep.
He received the Purple Heart, and after he got over his injuries, he went to to the Pacific and was in Okinawa.
Yep.
And that is a tremendous thank you to the Jordan family for his service for our country during World War II. And a finer example of a man.
I'm telling you, he was. I mean, he was a great man, a great coach.
What is your favorite memory have played for Auburn and attended Auburn University? What are some of your most treasured memories of that time, Lynn?
Well, you know, the camaraderie of all the guys. All the guys that I met, you know, I mean, we had great times at Auburn, but we're still friends now. And it's amazing that what all we went through, and it made us so close. But, you know, I got games that I really stick out in my mind and I enjoy thinking about and stuff like that, and different games. And there's different plays that I can remember. I remember just like it was yesterday, this stuff.
What was your favorite play to block on?
26G, pulling guard.
Pulling up when you pulled to the right or
I
to the
pulled to the right and the left, both of
Okay,
them. 26 and 27G. I pulled on both of them.
okay. What did the G stand for?
Guard pulling.
Guard. Okay. Okay.
Back then, you know, I mean,
Then you got
an
to-
in suite with a.
You got to bulldoze somebody. And did you wear number 62 the entire time?
Yeah, I was 62.
Oh, here it comes. 62.
Oh, I had so much fun. We also had a trap play where I pulled and kicked out the defensive end.
Okay.
And when they call the play in the huddle, I'd get tickled because that defensive end halftime didn't see me. The trap.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I just tried to take his head off, you know.
Well, now your favorite memory as a game that you played in. What are a couple of games that stand out
Okay.
for a favorite memorable game?
Well, I guess my senior year, Georgia in Athens.
Okay.
Matter of fact, that's the game ball.
The game ball,
I got
33 to
the game-
14.
I got the game ball after the
Did
game.
they present it to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was Coach Barfield was
Yeah,
coaching?
Coach Barfield was coaching
Okay.
in. William Andrews, a great running
Ah,
back for the
yeah.
Atlanta Falcons.
And he hurt his knee.
Yep.
And
Yep.
the
I was a junior that year, and I
Okay.
was a senior. William was used mostly for a blocking back his sophomore and freshman, sophomore years, and his junior year, until we got to that Georgia game, and the coaches figured out something that we could run straight up the middle over me and Marvin Trotter, our center at that time.
Marvin Trotter.
Yeah.
Where was Marvin from?
Montgomery?
Montgomery?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we did, and William gained 250-something yards. And we beat them, like I said, 33-14. In the locker room, Coach Barfield comes up with a football. You don't give it to Kim Bayer.
Yeah.
Gives it to William. William's shaking his head the whole time. And both of them handed it to me.
Wow.
That was a memory I'll never forget that. You know?
Now, do you still stay in touch with William? Where's he
Yeah,
at now?
Yeah, William's over in Atlanta.
Okay.
He's just crippled up worse than I am.
Yeah.
He's really getting around slow and limping and on a cane and everything else.
Now, how often do you get to go back for the Auburn games? Do
I
y'all
try
go?
to go to one or two a year.
Okay.
Most of the time.
Okay.
I used to have season tickets, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with this Faulkner boy. Gonna be playing in Faulkner, my grandson.
That's right.
So I guess I'll be following Faulkner.
Now, give us his name again.
Zach Johnson.
Is he an offensive lineman?
He's an offensive lineman.
What number does he wear?
63.
63.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. 62 and 63. Here they
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
So,
All right, we're back with Lynn Johnson, and we're here in Dozier, Alabama, or halfway between Brantley and Dozier. But in college, your first 2 years, you were in the athletic dorm. Who were your roommates?
I had Ronnie Jones was my first roommate was Tom Ball, the biggest lineman ever signed at Auburn back in those days. I was the second largest.
Oh, how big was he, and how big were you?
Tom was 6'8", 320, and I was 6'3", about 280.
280.
Yeah, when I went to Auburn,
When you left Dozier your senior year, how big were you? How heavy were you?
I was 275.
275.
And I worked out all summer, and I gained about 5 pounds.
Your work routine, now what all did that entail? That was just bar weights, or what was it? I mean,
That's a good one. At Dozier.
at Dozier.
At Dozier, we took a syrup bucket, a gallon syrup bucket.
Okay,
I filled it up with cement.
okay,
Stuck a rod down in it until that hardened.
okay.
Then we took another gallon syrup bucket, filled it up with cement, stood that rod up in it. That was our weights.
Well, how did you hold that up? Y'all just had to brace it till it got hard on the bottom end?
Yeah, we had it fixed where we could lean it up, up
Okay.
against something that would
Okay.
stay straight as it could strut.
So y'all made your
Well,
own.
made our own weights. Yeah.
So how much did that syrup
I
bucket
don't
weigh?
even know.
But that's
don't
what
even-
y'all worked out this way
That's what
and
I
this
worked
way?
out with.
This
Yeah.
way in both?
Yeah, we did
Okay.
everything.
And
I got
military
where I could
press?
just throw it around all
Yeah.
over the place. It didn't weigh that much. Yeah. So when I signed
Have
with
you still
Auburn-
got those weights?
No, I don't.
You need to make some syrup bucket weights for your
Damn.
grandson. I've never heard of that.
That's what we had. Not much of a weight program at Dozier back in the '60s, in early '70s. But when I signed with Auburn, I had a uncle that was a big Auburn alumni,
What was his name?
Daryl Murphy from
Daryl.
Greenville.
Daryl Murphy from
Yeah.
Greenville.
Yeah, yeah. And so,
Was that on your mother's side of the family?
yeah,
Okay.
that was my mother's side.
Okay.
So he goes and buys 2 110-pound sets
Okay.
of those cement weights in the plastic covers.
Yeah.
You remember those?
Were
from-
those made by the Fob James?
It could have been. It
Yeah.
could have been.
You know, his first name is Forrest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's
It
right.
was?
You know, yeah, but he that's how he made his money. And
Yeah.
but go ahead.
Anyway, he bought me 220 pounds, 110-pound sets. So he bought me one, and I just got out there and had a little bench made up, and I just was throwing it around 110 pounds. He's go all these, what he said. And he went back and bought another 110 pounds, and we put it all on the same bar. And I worked out with that then. So I had some weights to work out after I'd signed with Auburn. But so yeah,
I imagine when you rolled into Auburn, they had a pretty good
we had a weight program there.
had a weight program.
Yeah, yeah.
Who was the weight training coach? Did they have a specific
They
coach
had
for
a
that?
coach, yeah, Coach Hillier.
Hillier.
Hillier, yeah.
What was
I
his
can't
first
remember
name?
his first name.
Okay,
man,
Coach Hillier.
but Coach Hillier, and he was muscled up, and beefed up, and he put us through it too, and I got stronger and stronger and stronger,
Well, let's talk about your position coaches at Auburn again. Who all were they?
Coach Pat Morris was the offensive line coach.
Okay.
Coach Barfield at the time I got there was the freshman coach.
Okay.
Coach Mac Lorendo was the offensive coordinator. And Joe Conley was the defensive coach, defensive line coach. Paul Davis was the defensive coordinator, and Coach Shug Jordan.
Okay.
Okay, we had Coach Lorendo to retire in '73. Coach Barfield moves up to offensive coordinator. Everybody else stays the same. Then Coach Jordan retires in '75, and Coach Barfield gets the head coaching job for the '76 season.
Okay.
And the final year of my playing was Coach Jim King, who was at Livingston, head coach. He comes to Auburn as a head coach. And then another connection, that same year, '77, well, his name left me, but the coach used to be at Troy, that played at Auburn and coached at Auburn. It came over in the '90s. The coach
Jones, Tom Jones, no.
Well, his name just left.
It'll come to us in a minute.
You know,
Well, earlier we were talking about Troy University and seeing Sim Bird play.
Yeah.
When I was in the 5th grade, I begged my mama Mama, please let me go to the homecoming with you and Daddy.
Yeah.
Her and Daddy and Elaine Carmichael, Mr. Glenn Carmichael were going to the game. Well, she let me go, but I had to wear a suit.
Oh.
And I knew the players by name, by
yeah.
number, because Mother would bring a football program home. She worked for the Troy Messenger as a photographer.
Yeah.
And I can remember they won homecoming, I believe 76-0 over Concord.
I've seen that game. I was there.
And the linemen were running the ball, and I think some of the running backs were on the line. They were letting everybody run it.
They were having the most fun, wasn't they?
I was
remember
up on the seats on the National Guard Army side of the field, and I had a ball. I was in the 5th grade.
Well, I'll be.
So you probably
went to that
you're
game.
probably the 10th or 11th grade.
Yeah,
then,
I went to that game. I sure did.
So,
And
but,
Coach Blakeney.
Larry Blakeney.
Yeah, it just left me, you know.
Larry
But
Blakeney.
yeah, he came in as assistant offensive line coach in 1977 at Auburn. So he and I became close friends then.
Yeah, good fella. And I, when I was a middle school football coach at Charles Henson Middle School, Coach Blakeney was jogging by one Sunday afternoon. And I hollered at him. I said, "Coach, when's the last time you've had to do this?" And I was lining off a football field. He said, "It's been a long time," but I hadn't forgot how to do it. But he kept. I was hoping he'd turn around and come help me.
Yeah.
But he just kept on jogging. Coach Larry Blakeney.
Yeah.
And some of your, like you said before, your fondest memories are the relationships that you made while you were at Auburn, and they still exist today.
Yeah, we were talking about my roommates. My first roommate was Tom Ball, and when I got to Auburn, I didn't know anybody. So I opened the door to Sewell Hall in the lobby. There he lay on the couch, head on one end of it, feet sticking off about this far on the other.
And he was the one that was 6'8".
6'8", yeah.
Where was he from?
Miami.
Miami, Florida.
Yeah. I thought to myself, what have I gotten into?
I hope I don't have to block him.
Yeah. So he jumps up and he says, "Are you Len Johnson?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm Tom Ball. We're going to be roommates. I done signed us up with the two biggest guy Auburn's ever signed." I said, "Okay."
Now, we all both freshmen?
Both of us were freshmen.
Now, in practice, who were some of the folks you had to block in practice?
Oh, my. Well, when I first started, we had an all-SEC player that was Benny Sibley from the 72 team. He was all-SEC. So 73, I had to block him some, and then let's see, Gaines Lanier was a starting defensive tackle. I had to go against him. Ken Burnage, that linebacker I mentioned before that poured the pork chops out. He had his nose busted, and it just stayed busted the whole season from that helmet coming down because he hit so hard, and he's bleeding. Back then, they let you play when you were bleeding,
Right.
So had to block him in one-on-one stuff, and that was tough. And got a good friend now, in Tommy Hicks, that's from Montgomery. Later on, we got to be close, and he was a linebacker. I had to block him, and he had the roughest elbow you ever seen. Throwing that elbow, and just
Flipper, elbow.
yeah,
Okay.
flipping that elbow as you come out on a linebacker. And, they was. I got a story about Coach Conley and Coach Morris. It was pretty funny, and
All right, go ahead.
Liston Eddings, another guy I had to block a lot. He's
Liston.
from Montgomery, and now lives in Montgomery. He's a good friend now. And,
Well, what are your stories that you were going to tell?
Oh,
If you can tell them.
so you know how you have the one-on-one drills,
Okay.
and everybody gets all excited, and the coaches go crazy, and the players go crazy. So I line up against Benny Sibley, the All-SEC player, as a freshman. Coach Marsh says, "Get in here, big man." So I got in. I was nervous that I could be. So first, I got off on him good, and I was bigger than he was, and ended up just putting him on his back.
Pancake.
Pancake. Everybody jumps up and jumps on me. And I said, "Way to go, Big Lynn! Way to go, Big Lynn!" And Benny, being a senior, all SEC player, Benny gets up and says, "He's holding me, Coach." And Coach Collins said, "Do it again." I looked at Coach Marsh. He said, "Get him again, big man." So we did it again. And the same thing, another pancake. Benny jumps and says, "He's holding me, Coach." And Coach Conley was a slow talking guy. He said, "That freshman ain't holding you. He's whipping your
Tail.
That's the way that.
Yeah.
So
Well, were there any other players from the Dozier, Brantley area who was the first? Were any other guys in this general area that played at Auburn? I know Coach Moore played at Alabama.
yeah,
But as far as football, any other Dozier?
I think Mal in the '50s when he went to
Okay.
Alabama, and I left Dozier in the '70s. That's the only two SEC team players from Dozier. Now, I had a good teammate that was a junior, A.Z. Burnett, he's from Dozier, but he went to Livingston and Coach King coached him. So that
Okay.
was another connection between us three.
I can remember when I was a kid and we played Dozier,
Yeah,
pound for pound, they may not have about 15, 20 players tops, but whatever 11 on the field, you can get ready because all 11 of them are going to be after it.
yeah, we had a good
I remember
mix of good
when I
guys.
was a young kid, I think I was a freshman, Zeke Barnett might have been a senior. A guy by the name of Zeke Barnett. There were Kimbrough.
Zeke Barnett's who I was talking about.
Okay.
That went to AZ or Zeke.
He was about 6'3", 6'4".
Yeah, big guy. Went to Livingston and did well.
Mm-hmm.
Did well over there.
I can remember that name.
Yeah, and
Who are some of the big names in Dozier football that you've got? Lynn Johnson, Mal Moore, Zeke Barnett. Who are some of the other ones that you can remember as a kid and as a?
yeah,
When did Dozier close? Do you remember?
91, I think.
91.
90 or 91.
Okay.
91, I think.
Okay. Who are some
Okay.
great players?
As I was growing up and watching my brothers, I can remember some of the Brewers from over in the Beat 12 area. Walter Brewer was a good player. Johnny Mac Smith, I remember him being a good player. And then as it got to where I was playing, Johnny Walden was a good player. I remember him. He stood out, a lot to me. Then as I got up and was playing, I had some good teammates. Philip Norris was our quarterback. And the funny thing about the Norris brothers, there was 7 or 8 of them. One of them was in my class. So Philip was the oldest. He quarterbacked for 2 years, 3 years. And then Perry in my class quarterbacked our senior year. And his younger brother Paul quarterbacked the next year. And then his younger brother Patrick quarterbacked. They all were quarterbacks, and all of them were good quarterbacks.
Right.
All through the years. Let's see, I had Charlie Burnett, was Zeke Burnett's older brother.
Okay.
Fast as lightning. He was faster than Charlie, but he didn't go anywhere. But Bobby Billups, after I left.
Bobby Billups.
Bobby
I
Billups
remember
was a
that name.
good running back. After I left, Eddie Brundage.
Played at Troy.
Yep, played at Troy. Was a
Eddie Brundage.
Eddie Brundage was a good one, and coaching football still to
And
this
Bernie
day.
Sullivan, did he coach?
He
him?
coached down at
Man.
he coached at Dozier. I helped him a little bit after I came home. And
Okay.
So I helped him a little bit with the offensive line in early '80s, I guess. helped Travis some when I come back home first. You know, not every day, but some. I was having to work, but let's see, and then, you know, when they closed Dozier, I was coaching at Brantley.
Okay.
And AZ helped, he and I kind of helped combine all the Dozier. You know, that was a rivalry.
Right.
Combined, AZ was good help in doing that. And he and I combined, I was coaching and got him to help coach too.
Because that you know, I know of other schools, when you transition, when one school technically loses their identity of Dozier,
Right,
and then they transition to another school, Brantley,
right.
whose colors change and all that. It's just a different thing.
It
It's
is.
got to be a good mesh. And y'all were the Dozier
Tigers.
of Dozier, Alabama.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to look at some memorabilia that belongs to Mr. Lynn. We'll be back after these messages. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're at the office of Lynn Johnson, and we're going to go over some of the memorabilia here on the wall. And this is Lynn receiving the Shug Jordan Award from Coach Jordan. Tell us a little bit more about that, Lynn.
That's in '77. When Coach Jordan retired, they made an award for the outstanding senior football player for each year, and Phil Gargis got it the first year, the '76 season, and I got it in '77. And of course, Coach Jordan died in 1980, so he presented, I think, 5. They still give it today, but he presented 5 of them, and I was lucky enough to have one handed to me by my old coach.
Right. And this is your all offensive line coach.
Yeah,
And this is you,
that's-
number 62.
That's him giving us some instructions on the sideline. The picture is faded out, but he was my favorite coach up there of all times, and I try to keep it up just to look at him and remember him. And giving us some instructions. I think we're playing Florida State at that time, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is you and Coach Barfield.
That was my senior year. Coach Barfield was my head coach then.
And all SEC 1977.
Yeah.
This is Coach Jordan. Is this at a bowl game?
That's at the bowl game. That's the Gator Bowl. We whipped Texas in '74,
What was that score?
27-3.
All right.
And guess who was running back for him in that year? Earl Campbell.
Earl Campbell.
Yeah, I played
All right.
against him.
Big Earl. Okay. And this is the Birmingham Post-Herald Auburn team of the decade.
Yeah, from
1970 to 1979.
Yeah.
And let's see if we can find you.
I'm on there somewhere. Right there. Nope. Right there. Ain't that me?
Oh yeah, Lynn Johnson.
Yeah.
73 to 77.
Yeah. They got some Pat Sullivan's on there.
James Brooks, Joe
Joe
Cribbs,
Cribbs.
Terry Henley,
Terry Henley.
Terry Beasley,
Yeah.
Danny
Sansbury probably.
Spigner,
Oh, Spigner.
Gardner Jett,
Yeah.
kicker. Lee Gross, or some of them. David Langer, we know about him.
Oh
Alabama
yeah.
folks
Yeah.
do.
There's a lot of.
David Beverly, Mike Fuller.
That's Ken Burnich up there. You see him and
Yeah.
Benny Sibley too.
Ooh, yeah, there he is.
The stories about both of them.
And you got Frank Warren, Bob Brown.
Yeah.
Awesome. And this is, you were the co-captain
I was
in
a co-captain in
1977.
'77. Yeah.
And what is this here? Is this,
That's all the seniors in 1977. That was my last game at Jordan.
and
Yeah, that's me.
that's you right there.
Last game at the stadium.
And you're leading the team out. What game was this?
That's
Do you
the
remember?
Legion Field against Alabama my
Okay.
senior year.
Okay. And you picked up a fumble and gained 4 yards against Tennessee.
Yeah.
Who fumbled? Do you know?
Phil Gargis.
Phil Gargis.
Yeah,
the
and I was
quarterback.
just right there, and it bounced right up in my hands, and I just kept running and got hit and probably went straight down.
Okay, this is an award from the Auburn University Department of Athletics. Lynn Johnson, co-captain 1977. You were in the blue-gray game
I played in blue-gray.
and the Senior Bowl 1978, all SEC 1978.
Yeah,
Well,
and so
that's great.
yeah, that's the next picture up on top up there is on the plaque. I
up
mean, that's
here?
the blue and gray.
Right.
What I received from that,
And this is the team.
and that's the Senior Bowl. Yeah.
Wow. There are some big names on that.
There are a lot of big names.
A
on
lot
that
of big
one.
names.
A lot of big names on that one. Yeah.
All right. Now I'm gonna pull this out. Who made this for you?
Oh, yeah, no, that was my mother's purse that she took to Auburn every Saturday.
Lynn
my
Johnson.
My younger sister made that.
Really? And who's
Yeah.
your younger sister?
Deborah
Deborah.
Wallace. She lives right up here, about a quarter mile from me.
Well,
But
that's
she made that for my mama. She took it every game.
wow. And what's your mother's name again, Lynn?
Elizabeth Raines Johnson.
Elizabeth Raines
Yeah.
Johnson. That is neat.
Yeah, that's
That's-
I treasure that too.
Right.
That she made it.
All right, this is an old coat, Dozier, D-O-Z on one side, I-E-R on the other. This coat was given to me by Ben Davis. His dad was LaVon Davis, who used to be the principal at Dozier.
Yeah.
And he used to wear that to church when he was not preaching. And of course, you got you some rings up here. Is this the helmet you wore
That's my helmet from Auburn. Yeah.
from Auburn? And this is a Brantley Bulldog.
Yeah. When I was coaching in the state championship.
15 and 0.
Yeah.
Head coach Roland Jones,
Yeah.
Big Row.
Big roller.
Big Row.
Big
And,
row. Uh-huh.
I've been with him to Honduras.
Is that right?
Yeah, in the National Guard. That's
Wow.
where I met him.
How about that?
And his assistants were Little Roland, Lynn Johnson, Waylon Bush, and Tony Stallworth.
Yep.
And I guess these. Did you play basketball
I
at
played
Dozier?
basketball. Yeah.
Okay.
That's some tournament trophies.
Did you play baseball?
Played baseball.
What positions in baseball?
I was the first base.
Okay.
Left-handed.
Okay. You're a left. You throw
I'm
left-handed?
left-handed. Yeah.
Do you kick left-footed too?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's scan over here behind Lynn. This is his number at Auburn, number 62. And we've already pick up that football again for us.
Oh
Lynn.
yeah.
That's the Auburn, Georgia football that he received. It actually was given to
William Andrews.
William Andrews after the game, and William said, "No, Coach, I want to give it to Lynn." They defeated Georgia that year, 33-14. And what year was that, Lynn?
77 over in Athens. That's what made it even better, you know.
Okay.
What they used to call between the hedges. You remember that statement, between the hedges?
Right. Well, let me pull this out right here.
Okay. Yeah.
This is a old Dozier Letterman sweater that Lynn got. It's got 4 bars on it. He lettered 4 years, played basketball and football, but unfortunately it was charred in a house fire. Did you wear 35 in high school?
I did.
Wore number 35,
yeah.
All-State 1972.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I don't know if I can get that out or not. I saved it, salvaged it.
and played linebacker. Were you a running back? What
Fullback.
Fullback?
Yeah.
Golly, I'd hate to know I had to tackle you. But anyway, Lynn, I want to thank you for allowing us to come to your home.
I enjoyed it.
And we enjoyed talking with you, and best of luck to you.
Thank
and
you very much.
Good luck to Faulkner University.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you ever come into Troy, call me and I'll break bread with you.
All right. That
Or when
sounds
you're going to
good.
the shack, call me. I'll come meet you there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Lynn Johnson from Dozier, Alabama. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.